Here's a small segment from the Pre-Patch Podcast. Enjoy.
I am also playing. So PoE 2, it has taken the world by storm.
Dude, yeah, the Diablo killer, as some call it.
Very well deserved
say,
at this point.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, I mean, so yeah, PoE 2 dropped this past December, the beginning
6th.
yeah, and it's pretty great, man. I should say dropped. It did go early access, so it's not fully out.
What pay in early access
was it's a pay in early access. You get acts 1 through 3. I believe the scope is 6 in total.
Yep, 6.
And you got about half the roster of playable classes, I believe, as well. Don't quote me on that one though. I can't quite remember.
It's
all
half the roster. You get 6
okay.
to start, and then 6 they'll be drip feeding throughout the early access.
Right. So that right on. Yeah. But yeah, man, if you guys aren't familiar with, Path of Exile or Diablo, it's an isometric ARPG top down. You're just general kill zone kind of game, going through maps and clearing the axe. But I think honestly, I really like their take on this one. Comparative to Path of Exile 1, it is a bit slower pace.
A bit
still,
bro. Say your piece, because I got some hot takes.
It's a bit slower pace, but not in my eyes of the jump that Diablo made to Diablo 4. If I'll say that, I think that game went way slower and just way too much. This game definitely slows down a bit, but they still give you options to kind of get around and jump around and whatnot.
Sin wants to go off so bad. He wants to go off.
Is that why it's not your cup of tea?
Finish your fucking take. I'm gonna explode.
I'm liking it, man. I'm liking it. I've only really had time playing my my one class being the mercenary, the merc being kind of like a crossbow archer elementalist type class, and it's really fun. I was playing through my buddy who was playing a necromancer, and yeah, I've only got through acts 1 through I've started 3, but only just started. I haven't gotten through it yet, so. Acts 1 through 2 have been completed.
You said this is slow pace. Look at all of the shit on the screen.
Yeah, man. I don't think it's like super slow, but compared to 1, it is. One was batshit. I don't know if you played 1, Tony.
I've never played Path of Exile, but going into this after you just said it's slow.
This is slow. You lied
to me, Scruff. Like I was going there and get murdered.
To be fair, Scruffy is literally backpedaling through new territory in this jungle and just aggroing every mob in the forest.
I mean, this is a perfect example of of what this game brings to the table. It's crazy. But that's my piece, man. I'm really enjoying it. I think it's a solid early access kind of preview of the game, and I want to delve in more. And Sin, what do you got?
Oh, go ahead.
I'm also enjoying Path of Exile 2 a lot. I have only played a few of these. This usually isn't my genre of game. I've only played Diablo 2, Diablo 4, and now this. And this honestly harkens back a lot to Diablo 2, in my opinion. It's got that kind of like more old school ARPG feel with like how deliberate some of the movements are. Especially if you're playing a melee class, which at the current point I don't recommend because they're kind of botched right now.
Yeah.
Hopefully they'll fix them later, but I've been primarily playing through on a witch, and I like how the necromancies and like the chaos dot spells feel on that character. I played a little bit with a mercenary, like what Scruff's playing as well, and that feels really good as far as like having a third-person shooter style, like a top-down third-person shooter. A top-down shooter style goes in this kind of thing game. I think they handled it like really well. It's definitely early access in a lot of ways, and hopefully they fix those. But for what it is, I don't have any regrets buying into it. And it's got couch co-op, so me and the wife have been playing it together, and that's been a really, really good time.
That's nice.
Okay. Yeah. So as someone that has put a lot of time into ARPGs, right? And I can say this now because I'm not like, if Enigma was here, he would be yelling probably at me for maybe some of my takes on here. This game, like the problem that I have with the game, right? And I'm not taking anything away from Path of Exile as far as like what it is trying to accomplish and what this game is. I think that yes, it's a good game. I don't think that there's necessarily anything wrong with like the game. And it definitely, as you progress higher and higher and higher and get into more mapping, get your characters built out a little bit more, you definitely get more of the fast paced stuff. Where I have a problem with it is that this is, in my opinion, this is not Path of Exile. This is a new game that has the skin of Path of Exile on it. And whenever you have a sequel, right, there are some expectations that come along with it. And though some of the core mechanics and like the build or whatever else is very similar, right? Or the same, right? You have the witch, you have the classes, those all the kind of the things, same as PoE 1. There is an expectation when you say ARPG, Path of Exile, of the pacing. This should not, in my opinion, be called a action RPG. It is a top-down Souls-like. Like that is what this game is. And I know, again, I'm gonna go ahead and embrace Enigma and say like they fucking said it for months and months and months, and they were talking about it. I get it. I'm not arguing that they said that was what, that yes, they advertised it as or they talked about it as a Souls-like, but they also advertised it as an action RPG. And with the name Path of Exile,
throwing that term Souls-like around more and more.
The thing about this is that
it's hard, so it's a Souls-like.
It's not that it's hard. I don't care that it's hard.
Dodge roll bosses. Oh god, it's a Souls-like.
I don't care that it's hard, but the pacing, like you're seeing it right here in Diablo 4, in Diablo's and Path of Exile. What you're seeing here is not what it would be. Like you would be done with these, cleared, and gone to the next not area, but you'd be moving around, having to sit down and actually it takes a couple minutes. It's taken him at least probably 30 to 45 to maybe 50 seconds to kill this mob, right? That the pacing of it is what it was a shock when I went into it, and I was like, hey, Diablo style, Path of Exile, ARPG. I went in, I immediately was almost like, I'm gonna refund this game because that is not what I get.
To be fair, that is, I think, an issue with Act 1 of this game.
That could just be scruffy,
until you're able to build out your character, yes, mobs do have a bit of heft to them.
Yeah.
As of right now, where I'm at in the game, like from Act 2 forward, I was clearing out mobs in a very Diablo 4 style fashion. Like it was taking maybe 3 to 5 seconds per ad, and I was clearing out a pack in maybe 10-15 seconds.
Yeah. Once I got some new abilities, I was like definitely shredding mobs a lot faster than I was here.
I've gotten
bosses,
farther.
I'll give it to you. Bosses, I do feel have more of that
Oh,
Souls-like feel to them, just because they're tanky and their movesets are extremely varied.
Did you fight the Act 1 final boss?
Yeah, I'm up to Act 3 with you as well.
Was that the leveling up system that I saw with all those little dots?
There's a very in-depth. There's a very So there's a what PoE gives and what PoE does well, right? And I do have some other points that I want to go back to, but what PoE does do well is the ability to build out your character in ways that other games don't. Like you do have a creative freedom, with how you build. There was the sphere system, or not sphere system, I forgot what they call it. The node system. It's whatever. But like you open up your character sheet, and it's just like you can go in any direction you fucking want, and you can just you can really build your character out in a lot of ways. Which again, I love that. Like I think that is very, very good. I am in Act 3, I believe, as well. I'd have to go and look. And I tried multiple different classes. I tried the monk. I tried, and again, I'm not talking about in game.
You didn't just do exclusively melee classes, did you?
No. I did monk. Okay, I ended up landing actually on ranger. Because
ranger's great.
Yeah,
that's that was playing right now.
That was faster. It was more my play style. Stuff like that. So. There are some other issues that I have, and then I'll kind of leave it, to talk a little bit, because they did just drop an update that's coming out that's I think pretty big. But one of my other huge complaints with this, and I'm not taking into consideration at all the early access issues that normal things have, like lag, networking stuff or whatever.
Warrior being unplayable.
Yeah, those things, whatever. my gripe with this, right? Specifically is something that is known. And again, I can say this and I will go ahead and repeat Enigma or put in Enigma, channel Enigma, because he would just be like, oh, 6 pages isn't enough. It's more than 6 pages. There are a known issue that has plagued PoE 1 and is still plaguing PoE 2, where it will like it stutters. They have network issues. It is for some people it's unplayable. And the way to fix it in a lot of cases is you have to die. You character die, you kill, and then it will. It'll be fine. Not some people don't. Some people do.
Yeah. But I have experienced issues with connecting to friends. That I have had, like, it will get stuck in loading screens going through, like, say their portal or something like that. It's
way more than just 6 pages and whatever else. Like, it is a known thing that they have a problem with their fucking network code. And it's been a problem since PoE 1. And this is where my gripe comes in. I'm like, guys, if you're going to launch if you're going to launch a fucking sequel, if you're going to charge people to play in the early access or whatever, like, for fuck's sake, man, get that shit right. Like, go back in your code and fix it, right? And it's still not fixed in PoE 1. It will probably never get fixed in PoE 2. That is frustrating. Like, as a person that is experiencing those issues, as a person that is having those problems, I'm not alone in this. This is not just a me problem. That's very frustrating. And it's frustrating to see that this has gone on for years and years and years and it not be taken care of.
Fair enough.
So,
yep.
But before we move on, I want to address the PoE 1 to PoE 2 thing that you mentioned earlier. Yep. I understand where you're coming from and I understand the expectation. It kind of, since we're already bringing up Souls games, it kind of brings up a Dark Souls 1 to Dark Souls 2 comparison, where I feel Dark Souls 2 gets hated on a lot because it didn't meet the expectations, like, of what a Dark Souls game was that were set in Dark Souls 1. That being said, with a live service game like this and a live service game like PoE 1, haven't they said that they plan on continuing to update both of these games in tandem? That one's not supposed to replace the other, but they're supposed to work, like, beside of each other for players that, like, if you prefer PoE 1, keep playing PoE 1. If you prefer PoE 2, keep playing PoE 2, and, like, giving basically another option in the ARPG space with this title.
Yes, they have, and I'm interested to see how long they're going to continue to do that for, because I can't imagine, and maybe they will. Maybe grinding gears.
It's not like a Smite 1 to Smite 2 where they're
it's not. No, they're just no. I mean, eventually, I think they will sunset PoE 1. I just don't see it being financially fiscal. I mean, unless they're just making a fuck ton of money, then maybe they will. But for right now,
I think they're making a fuck ton of money.
Oh yes, I mean, they
especially considering the like monetizations and, like, the microtransactions are, like, shared between the two games.
They do cross over. They're not all implemented, and I don't cross over right away. But
they added a ton of them with this most recent patch that's coming out.
I imagine, they do add it in, like, waves. So I've noticed.
I think that, but I mean, here's the thing: is I don't know how long that will continue for them adding crossover, buys, because again, they are losing out on money, but. Maybe Grinding Gears games will set a new precedent for how to properly do it. And I hope that they do, where they don't fuck over their fan base. But I just, from a investor standpoint, money-making standpoint, it is hard to see them continue to just be like, oh yeah, you can buy it for one and it's going to work for both.
I mean, and I'm sure at some point too, they'll have exclusives for, like, PoE 2 and certain, like, because they have like customization for every single detail of, like, classes in PoE 1, and you have a whole set of new classes in PoE 2. They'll have new customization for that now. So that stuff won't transfer, or
I mean, maybe they will, but again, PoE it's taken the world by storm. It has also caused the downfall of Elon Musk in his gaming career. Apparently, if you want to be good at this game, just pay someone on TikTok or Red Note. I mean, China, wherever you buy people.
Wow.
Wait, no, you pay people to
people.
The American way. The American way.
Oh man.
To pay for people to level your account for you. But I don't know.
Don't you have a blue check mark on Twitter?
I do have a blue check mark on Twitter.
You should check where that stands.
Yeah, so maybe do I get a free person to play my PoE account for me? That would be nice. So I don't know. I mean, again, it's taking the world by storm. I think it's still doing like, hundreds of thousands of users. It's making Diablo fucking and Blizzard hurt. It is a good game. Like, I'm not gonna take anything away from it. It is a very good game. If you can get to the end game, it's a fucking phenomenal end game. For $40, you get your money's worth.
30.
Is it 30? Okay, 30.
30. Yeah. And technically you're not paying anything like on top of what you like. They give you $30 worth of microtransaction currency with the early access. So you're technically just buying currency and getting the game. So
yeah. And then it'll eventually become free to play once it full drops. So
yep.
But I imagine full drop will probably be 2026. Like, I don't see it dropping this year.
I imagine too. Yeah.
So, but yeah, that is PoE 2. Do you guys have anything else you wanted to talk about? I know they dropped a new update. I don't know if you guys wanted to touch base on that.
Oh, their trials are pretty cool. They're unique. I wanted to definitely hit on that and see what your thoughts were on those, because those are a lot like also a
talking about like
system.
the ascendancy trials.
Yeah. It's got like the roguelite pathing and everything, which I thought was pretty cool. I've only done a few, so I don't know if they get monotonous or in any way.
Have you done the second one, the Trials of Chaos?
I believe so.
Okay.
I
prefer that one over the original trial. The first trial is where you're like going through rooms, and like if you get hit, it brings down a meter. If you get hit so much, you lose the trial.
Annoying, the whole hit thing. Yeah.
The Chaos trials, you have to pick debuffs as you go through. Like, you have to pick downsides that stack on top of each other while you're heading towards the boss. So that one's a lot more fun in my opinion.
I agree. Yeah, but I like the way that it's at least set up. I think it's pretty neat.
And as far as the new patch comes out, they're fixing a lot of stuff. Hopefully they're actually going to make the warrior playable, because they're fixing how armor works and how hit percent works. So that'll be nice. They're also alluding to the first league coming up, like the first early access league coming out here soon, which I don't know if leagues mean hard resets or if it's one of those things where they're going to have like a character move to like a standard pool and then you have your league character.
It's going to be interesting how they handle leagues, especially with the way that the PoE is always done and being in early access. Like, because leagues have always been the thing that like they tack on. And here, I will say this about Path of Exile. And I'm assuming that Path of Exile 2 will probably be the same thing. If you are, depending on how they handle this league stuff, if you are wanting to get into Path of Exile, it is in my opinion, it is better to get in now and get in as they're building these leagues out, because there are mechanics that are in there that don't ever go away. Now, they're not mandatory. Like, you don't have to engage necessarily, I think, with a lot of the league content as they move through other leagues, but it is things that you will encounter that it can be cumbersome. And that's where the learning curve for PoE started to spike, was because it added, I mean, they had fucking 40 fucking leagues, and it's just like, it became a lot. So I do recommend, if you are interested, if you do like action RPGs, you might want to start getting into it, sooner than later. Depending on how they handle the league is on there. So
definitely, it's a good time to, get in at the start.
Yeah. Cool. All right. Well, that is Path of Exile 2.
Thank you for checking out the patch notes. If you enjoyed this small selection from our podcast, come and join us every other Thursday at 10:30 p.m. Eastern for the full, unfiltered pre-patch podcast. And make sure you check out all of our past shows on anchor.fm/prepatchpodcast.